Washington Times columnist Charlie Hurt, national political reporter for Real Clear Politics Aaron McPike, and Roll Call's Shira Toeplitz. Thank you all for joining us.
Good to be here.
All right, we talked a little bit, and Carl talked a bit about the fact that the campaigns, both sides have been sort of managing expectations a little bit. Shira, I want to ask you first. Governor Christie was pretty bold this morning on the Sunday talk show saying, you know, it's going to turn the race upside down, and Romney's going to come out of the gate charging. I mean, that's the first person we've sort of heard on the Republican side saying he's actually going to do a great job. What do you make of it?
I wonder if he'll get a call from Boston in a few minutes, if he hasn't already. I mean, that's not what the Romney campaign or the Obama campaign have been doing for the last week. If anything, what they've been doing is saying nice things about their opponent. It's one of the only times during the election cycle you'll see that happen. I mean, you have President Obama saying Mitt Romney's an experienced debater. He's been through this many times during the primary and fairly recently. And Romney's campaign is saying Obama's one of the best speakers to walk the earth ever. So.
Yeah, and we even saw it today, which we'll talk a little bit more about this later on in the show, with Paul Ryan, the vice presidential contender, current congressman, talking about the fact that Biden's really sharp, he's very witty. So even, you know, the number twos on the tickets are doing a lot of praising right now. But for the most part, what we've heard is this managing of expectations, Aaron, and you know, sort of the White House and the campaign, the Obama campaign, suggesting the president's sort of rusty. He hasn't had to debate anybody in 4 years. I mean, what do you make of that?
Well, President Obama has been thinking that Mitt Romney would probably be his opponent pretty much for his entire presidency, because Mitt Romney has been running for so long. But I would also point out this: by the time the debate comes on Wednesday night, both of these men will have had 5 straight days of preparation. I mean, it's like preparing for a bar exam. They will be plenty prepared, and they have everything that they want to say ready to go.
I'm having nightmare flashbacks when you talk about preparing for the bar. That's not something we ever want to relive. Charlie, what do you think? What do you think that these candidates need to do to come out and be considered, quote-unquote, the winner at the end of the day? Or will they both claim victory regardless of how the candidates fare?
Yeah, I don't think that we're going to have a major moment in any of these debates unless somebody just completely does something, you know, it says something incredibly stupid, which Mitt Romney could possibly do that. I don't see President Obama doing that. He is a whole lot more disciplined. He's more comfortable on the stage, I think, than Mitt Romney is. And I think that for Mitt Romney's part, what he needs to do is he needs to go out there and not try to be liked. He's not a particularly likable candidate. I think he needs to say, look, I will be a very competent technocrat on the economy, and focus on that, and not try to be a rock star, because President Obama kind of has that sort of sewn up, I think. And I think that in an election like this, where you have high unemployment and people are very, very dissatisfied right now, I think that you have a chance, that really could be an opening for a challenger. I don't think that normally voters go with the candidate they'd like to drink a beer with. I don't think that that's necessarily the case now.
All right, let's talk about the fact that President Obama is widely praised as being a great orator, a great speaker, but there are many critics out there of him who say once he's off a teleprompter or prepared speech, then sometimes he gets himself in trouble. Even if his remarks are interpreted, you could argue differently than he intended them. We think of this small business you didn't build it thing that kind of blew up. Anybody think that he has worries about being off prompter and being in an unscripted debate?
Not necessarily being off-prompter. I think his greater problem is his oratory tends to be lengthy. He's not meant for sound bites. I hear White House reporters complain all the time, especially at the start of his term. He was impossible to quote because his words were so long, his sentences were so long, and his aides know this, and they're trying to work on this with him right now, give him crisper, cleaner answers.
Yeah, because you have a very tightly controlled situation in these debates. All right, we want to talk with you all about some polls, too. We showed in the beginning that there is now a 5-point lead just across the board, head-to-head nationally in our latest Fox News poll. Margin of error is plus or minus 3 points, so still a very tight race. But something I thought was interesting also in our Fox News polling this week, the choice for president among extremely interested voters. These are the ones who most likely self-identify that they're going to vote, that they care about the race the most. There, it's a little bit tighter race. Obama-Biden with 46%. Romney-Ryan, though, on top with 49%. Aaron, do you think that's maybe an untapped resource that, or an untapped story that could actually be a surprise for people on Election Day?
Well, extremely likely voters are voters who come out for midterm elections. In a presidential race, you're going to see more Democrats come out anyway. And so the Obama campaign has been doing a lot with early vote and trying to mine all of these swing states for voters who aren't as likely. I do think it's true that there's probably some more enthusiasm on the Republican side, and just always is, but the Obama campaign is well aware of that.
All right, and also independent voters there. We haven't seen these numbers move a lot since the beginning of September until now. Our latest polling there still gives the edge among independent voters, and these are independent likely voters. Obama-Biden stands at the top of 43%, Romney-Ryan 39%, but still 19% unsure. With that in mind, Charlie, do you think that the debates will have a big impact? You said unless somebody really makes a huge gaffe, probably not.
I think probably not, but I think the larger sort of current that these polls are not going to pick up right now because we're just too far out is the fact that in an election like this where you have a lot of dissatisfaction, which of course is why I think a lot of the very interested voters are with Romney, is because a lot of Romney's support is driven by deep dissatisfaction with Obama. And so what I think will happen as we get closer to the election is a lot like what happened in 1980, where voters tend to break, and they tend to break hard in an election like this. And I think that given the environment, they'll break away from the incumbent.
A policy side, anecdotally, we hear from people that they're much more interested, at least from entertainment value standpoint, in the VP debate. Which do you think is going to get more headlines, presidential or vice presidential?
The first presidential, definitely. That's what everyone will first tune into because it's the first time we're going to see Mitt Romney and President Obama on a stage together.
Joe Biden will say anything, which is why he's so enjoyable to watch. And he says everything.
But they prepared him so much for that debate against Sarah Palin, if you recall, that they just wanted him to be careful. Yeah. Same thing could be true with the Paul Ryan debate.
Right. I think any VP debate is going to immediately draw comparisons to last 4 years ago, and that was obviously a blockbuster debate. So.
All right. Thank you all for weighing in. Great to see you.
Thank you.
We'll see you Wednesday night. That first face-to-face showdown is just 3